Welcome back to This Month in Superman. We're talking about the books that came out in November 2025. This is the show where we break down I would say, the one Superman comic you're going to read this month, make it, and then each one of us is going to tell you. This is going to be our picks for the month of November. We love talking about Superman. I have the greatest co-host in the history of podcasting, the Beer with Geeks themselves. First off, the man with the Beetle plan, Frank Ramblings. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing pretty great, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah. And the best tangent you could ever go on, Tim Tangent. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I sound like a theme park ride with that kind of
yeah, that Kryptonite Spectrum theme park ride. Yeah, arcade. This is gonna be a fantastic episode, my friends, because this month there were some really good books. As I like to say every month, we've had, this whole year. We should do a next month, which is now December, boys. We should start thinking about a year wrap up for Superman, because we have been on this journey talking about Superman books this entire year, if you can believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been
when did we start this?
I think we do have a January episode. I'm going
we
to check
started
this
in
real quick.
January.
Stop it. We do not. We've been doing this a year already.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
this is. I'm going to go back real quick in my Wayback Machine and check, but I believe we do have a year under our belts.
Yeah, see,
coming
Tim
up
has used
here.
the 10 years, 11 years of weekly Beer with Geeks, where 1 year felt like 10 years.
Ooh, yes.
True.
Yes. I have been happy to be on this journey with you fellas, and I would not want to talk about Superman with any other group of guys, because you two, not only are you knowledgeable, but you're also entertaining, you're affable, likable, lovable, and I love talking.
Handsome.
Yes.
Or some others in there,
Fantastic guys, both Tim and Frank, the Beer with Geeks. So let's get right
You're all right.
into.
Yeah, you'll do.
Yay!
You're always complimenting us. I feel like we should throw something at you. Yeah, all right.
Don't ever feel like you are obligated, but it is acceptable. I do enjoy getting compliments. I also enjoy talking about Superman, and I think I want to talk to Frank first and get his pick of the month. If there was one book that people should read this month for the month of November 2025, Frank, what should it be?
If there's only one, Kryptonite Spectrum Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum #4 for me was my pick of the month. This was such a blast, such a fun read, a great little romp through the fifth dimension with Mixie and we talk a lot about how much lately we've been seeing Superboy Prime and enjoying the meta commentary, but man, talk about getting meta with the changing art styles and the Excel spreadsheet about the comic. There were lots of fun Easter eggs in there. My personal favorite was, it's actually weird if you don't hear Gilbert Gottfried. That was one of the little comments about Mixie, which I appreciated as somebody who hears Mixie, who hears Gilbert Gottfried. But it was a darkly funny story. You got Kal-Elf,
Yes.
the fifth dimensional version of Superman, to go alongside Batmite.
Make him canon.
Make him canon. Yeah, exactly. Continuity. So it was great. It was a lot of fun, and it had a lot of heart, and was extremely silly. So it was a good read, a very good read in my opinion. So that's my pick for the month. What do you guys think?
Tim
I
Tangent, I
particularly
know
like-
you wanted to talk about
There's
this.
two of us talking at the same time.
Vactor, you go first. V before T. Except after C.
I very much enjoyed this issue, and again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this makes me want to read Ice Cream Man. The team behind this have done such a phenomenal job, and I think I haven't read the last issue, but I feel like it is a foregone conclusion that they are going to stick the landing. I feel like they know exactly where they want to go, what story they want to tell, and I feel like I'm in good hands. The entire ride has been fun, and just the concept of the Kryptonite Spectrum being different colors affect Superman differently, and then where do these adventures go from there? I'm already in. When you give me that elevator pitch, dude, I love the different effects of kryptonite on Superman. So this book has been fantastic. And like Frank said, the places that this issue goes are so fun, and love breaking the fourth wall, love all of these. Man, I was just thinking about wall breaking. I think it was because I had just read the Batman Deadpool crossover that Grant Morrison wrote, which was fantastic, by the way. Not a super book. Yes, that one did come out. I want to say it was October 31st. Like it was right at the end of the month.
Missed that so completely.
100%. I recommend. I did like that one more than the Marvel version, the Deadpool Batman crossover. The Grant Morrison one was fantastic. We should actually talk about that off mic, but I think the Kryptonite Spectrum, once it's collected, is going to be one of those ones that we refer to as, hey, this is one of those Superman books that you can hand to your friends, your family. Like, this is what I love about Superman. This story right here. I think issue 4 in particular was a standout for me. So I loved it. Tangent, what did you think?
I completely agree. And what I was thinking about that, like I was wrapping up issue 4 and I was like, I think I might like this more than All Star. I'm getting that point where it has hit every page, every moment, everything has just, or All Star, I feel like it's great, but sometimes like somewhere in the middle, I go, man, I'm a little less interested. Okay, we're back up, but this 5 issue in, everybody is doing what I want them to do. It's super fun when everyone shows up. Like Dr. Fate is in this one, and he's like actually referring to like, well, I was already gonna be here because know Dr. Fate. So like I love the liberality that they're taking with the characters, but they still everybody feels very authentic to themselves. Truthfully, this was one of the first times that I like read a story about the fifth dimension. I was like, yes. This is great. This is actually what I wanted the fifth dimension to be. I didn't even realize this is what I was missing. I love the inversion of some ideas like, no, it's not Brainiac, it's Brainiac. Because Brian,
Brian,
ruining everything in there. Like somebody was like, "Well, his past trauma is making him like, yeah, you and everybody else get out of here."
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, blah. It doesn't even treat like this, like the idea of like making your villains sympathetic and whatever. It just like shoves that right out in the corner, be like, "He's just a jerk. Get out of here."
Yeah.
So I love that. But truthfully, what actually really got me for this is like the comic moment of Lex. I guess it's a spoiler, but I don't care. Lex making Kryptonite Man out of the new spectrum of colors, but making it a clone of himself. It is really lovely because this Lex design is very heavy on like, he's like a skinny nerd as opposed to like, well, I'm going to be jacked because Superman is jacked and I've got to prove that I can also be jacked, like that version of Lex. But I like this, like, it's a brain over brawn thing, but he's like, but his brawn is now also himself.
Also his brain.
But it's the inversion of what Superman is. He's the living embodiment of the thing that can kill Superman. And of course, the living embodiment of the thing that can kill Superman in Lex's head is Lex. And so I just really love that so much. Big fan of this book. Like, you think
all
it's
around.
silly, and then it does stuff like this, and you're like, yes, it's doing it all. It's doing
it's silly,
everything
but
I
it's
want
so
a book
smart
to do.
at the same time. Like it's so fantastic. Yeah, it's just a joy to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's kind of that, and I think we've been talking about this all year with the James Gunn Superman movie and even the Fantastic Four movie over at Marvel. The Silver Age, like the joy and the fun of the Silver Age is kind of the wackiness and the goofiness and embracing the comic bookness of these properties and these franchises. And this book, when you're going into the fifth dimension, like, you cannot not be this zany, wacky thing. And it makes it's just the fun of comic books. Like, this is why I read comic books, is to have this much fun. And then also, on top of that, to say something about these characters, about Superman, about Lex Luthor, about Lois Lane, all of these characters that we have enjoyed over the years. It's always nice when someone gives you their take and their perspective on it that maybe you haven't seen before, or they're just their individual experiences, what makes them them. And so, like I said, this Ice Cream Man team, for me, this is like the best endorsement of, come check out our other work, is that the Kryptonite Spectrum has just been knocking it out of the park.
It's true.
Every
Which is something sometimes that we don't tend to do, right? You like a writer and you're like, this writer is writing this story, this arc or whatever really well. No, I will generally not read their other things because I'm here for the character. But they're blowing it out of the water so much with these characters that I want to know what else they do with characters I don't even know or care about right now.
Yes.
Like, that is truly a great strength. Really, All-Star Superman is a good example. Wow, this was incredible. What else has Grant Morrison done? I want to read more of him. I'm not just here for Superman anymore. Now I'm here for the writer, or I'm here for the artist, or the colorist, ink, or whatever. Like, that's very impressive. Very few comic book writers have done that for me.
I was going to say, this is much like, for me, All-Star is such a collaboration between the writer and the artist. And this is the same way.
Yes.
Where I just can't take one away from the other. They're both doing so much heavy lifting that it's like, this is essential. And again, this is what makes comic books so great. The collaboration of the artists and being able to come together and put art and story together, writing and art. And Kryptonite Spectrum is very much in the same vein of All-Star Superman. And that's why I think this is going to be a great collection once this comes out. Man, if there's like an absolute version of this story, I think I might have to pick it up, because seeing the art in the bigger, in the larger size, it's just fantastic. And Frank, you mentioned Kal-Elf. I think that, to me, I was thinking of it as I was reading. I was like, man, what are they going to do for the Superman version? And I know we've had Mrs. Spidlick for decades. The Bat-Mite, because in Tom Taylor's Nightwing run, which if anyone hasn't read, 100%, that was my favorite comic that was being put out for years, was Tom Taylor's Nightwing. And Bruno Redondo, which, again, that collaboration. He created Nightmite, which is the Nightwing fifth dimensional being. And so it brought up that memory again. I was like, oh yeah, man, it's so fun to have all of these different. And was it Mark Waid who did the story where like all the heroes had their own imps? There was like a Green Lantern imp.
That was the world's finest issue.
And,
I think.
And by the way, I was looking up. We did start in January of 2025. This next month will be a year, because we haven't done the December month yet. But we have been trucking along, boys, and it has flown by. We've been having so much fun talking about all these Superman titles and Kryptonite Spectrum. Again, I think it's a great pick, Frank, and I think once it's out, once the whole collection is out, I think this is going to be definitely a great gift to give any Superman fan in your life. Tim Tangent, if you had one book to give to someone this month and say, this is the best Superman story of November 2025, what would you tell them?
Mine's a weird pick because it doesn't have a lot of Superman in it, but I had the greatest ride reading it. World's Finest, number 45, Mark Waid, and who did the art? Adrian Gutierrez. Yeah. It is mostly a Lex Luthor and Joker story.
Yes.
Which I very much enjoyed, because the issue starts with my favorite, what's always my favorite, the friendship of Bruce and Clark. They're just like eating popcorn and watching football in the Batcave, which is hilarious to me, because like, you have a mansion. Like, you could just be sitting upstairs on the comfy chairs. Instead, you're sitting in computer chairs, like eating popcorn.
And Bruce's chair has bat ears on it.
Sure does.
Which I did not notice that the first time, but now I'm looking at the art again, and this makes me happy. Also, and they went to Big Belly Burger.
They went to Big Belly Burger. I did not notice that. They
went to Big Belly Burger.
I did notice the penguin duck from Batman Returns in the Batcave all the way at the back.
Yes.
You could see that. And the Bat Pod, the motorcycle from the Dark Knight, is also in there. But anyway, there we go. The most of this is Lex Luthor being like, I'm the greatest, I'm Lex Luthor, and Joker being like, I'm the living embodiment of chaos, let's team up. But they have so much fun together, which I like. They're the true odd couple, and that's what it, like. There's this bit where Joker calls it like he takes him to his ha ha hacienda, And Lex is staring at it. He's like, someone actually designed this for you? And Joker's like, well, not by choice. Like, not willingly, but it's amazing what people do when you kidnap their loved ones or whatever. I just really liked their back and forth. It had Hawkman in it, which I'm a big fan of Hawkman, so I love that. And then the odd, like, you get a real threat in, like, I guess I won't spoil this one, but like there's something that one of those classic silver comic booky things that happen, and you're like, oh, real threat time, here we go. I just really enjoyed the banter. I felt that this book has been slipping in the past couple of months. Like, it's been okay, it hasn't been great. But this book, like, Mark Waid was like, okay, we're back, baby, here we go.
Yes.
We're having fun again. Here they come. And so or the Absorbicon, like, are those headphones?
Yes.
If you're recommending a podcast, I'll skin you alive.
Yeah.
When I saw that as a podcaster, it always makes my heart skip a beat when I see in a movie or a TV show when they talk about podcasting. So that was fun when I saw that.
It's good
Man,
stuff.
Tim,
Who would do that? Who would recommend a podcast?
I agree with you 100%. This used to be like one of my favorite books every month, and it had been kind of falling to the back for me because there's just been so many great books that have been coming out. But this one, for sure, was back up on top for me as one of my favorite issues of the month. And that juxtaposition of Superman, Batman, and then Joker, Luthor. So flipping it and the story being about the villains instead of about the heroes.
World's finest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they've gone through the Bizarros, and now it's like there's these examining the heroes through the villains and through the other side characters. So yeah, this was another a great issue for me. Frank, did you enjoy World's Finest?
I mean, I loved when they were forced into one. Let's talk about Odd Couple when they're forced into one body at the end.
Oh yes.
And obviously that'll play out in the next issue. But like that is a really talk about the juxtaposition and the looking at the veteran partner chemistry, but instead it's this like toxic fusion partnership of Joker and Luthor. That's going to be a very fun issue, number 46.
I agree.
Yes.
Joker and Luthor together shouldn't work. That's what I think is always interesting to me. Like they're characters that like shouldn't talk together, work together, be on the same page together. So I'm always fascinated, and I want to applaud when a writer can get an authentic Luthor and an authentic Joker in the same room on the same page, and it works.
Yes.
And we got that twice this month.
Twice. Yes. Frank,
Man.
what was the second book?
Dang, they're always running together in my mind.
Yeah, me too. Because I read that one first, and then I read
Yes.
World's Finest. So I was like, "Oh, this is fun. I'm doing it again." It wasn't
Not
Absolute.
Superman.
It wasn't Book of L.
It was, I think, KO.
Was it? No, I didn't read K. Oh, so was it Superman?
So maybe it was Superman 32. Yeah, it was one of those two. It was either KO or Superman number 32.
I've got it open myself. I can.
Yeah, I've got them here too. But yeah, like we got it twice this month.
Yeah,
and
it was. Yep.
It was Superman. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I'm looking at it too with the whole Phantom Zone stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What
Should we talk about?
Yes, I was going to say one last thing on the
Yeah.
World's Finest is what I think is really what works really well about Mark Waid's writing, whether he's writing in the past or the present for these characters, is that you could feel the weight of their history in the conversations that they have. And so like everything that he is doing colors what's happening in the present, which I've been really appreciating about World's Finest. Like it's cementing friendships and allied relationships and frenemies and like all these different things. So like when I do read World's Finest, now I see them in a completely different book by a completely different author, because it's Joshua Williamson writing Superman, and their relationship is now working in tandem. Was when reading in Joshua Williamson's book has a weighted authority to it, because I'm remembering this adventure that they had in World's Finest. And I think that's what's really working for me about World's Finest more than anything. I think it's like I don't have to go back and read books from the 60s or 70s or whatever to be like, oh, remember that time that Joker and Luthor stole some cakes or whatever? That's, like I'm getting modern superhero storytelling in early years.
Yeah.
And so like even though the adventures are fun and technically, they're all going to make it out alive and blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't really matter. It's giving them a real sense of real concrete continuity history. And that's what I really appreciate about that book.
I think that's what the best writers do. The best creators are able to give you that sense of history and that gravity to all those relationships, interpersonal relationships, in a way that feels earned, and has that impact on you. That's what the best, all my favorite writers, that's one of the top reasons why, is because they give you that sense of continuity.
Yes, 100%. Man, I am loving all of the super books that are coming out each and every month. There's so many to dive into. And this month in particular, I felt like I cheated a little bit because I picked 2 books. And I'll tell you why. I was only going to go DCKO number 2 because I loved this book. But then I felt like, number 1, I didn't want to be repetitive because I picked DCKO last month. But also, when I read
the Kryptonite Spectrum every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, repetitive.
When I read Superman number 32, I also had a ton of fun. I loved it. And it really ties into DCKO. It even has the banner at the top, DCKO tie-in. And I feel like they work in tandem. So my picks are Superman number 32 and DCKO number 2. And this was that.
Talk about DCKO. Sorry, could you talk about KO without super spoilers? Because I have not read it yet.
Okay, no problem.
And so, I mean, you can spoil a little bit, like it happens. Just enough that I won't go. Yeah, I know.
Okay, I will do that. This was that moment that Frank was thinking of, the Joker Lex moment, and yes, we did get a fantastic Joker. Like Tim said, it shouldn't work, but the mixture of these 2 elements together. I mean, I think about how really, to me, Batman and Joker, when I think about it on paper, shouldn't work. But then because I almost feel like there's supposed to be specific things that you have and traits and characteristics of a hero and a villain. And I like to think of them being opposites when you have like an arch nemesis. But I feel like the Joker and Batman combination is so perfect. This fits, and it shouldn't. The Lex Joker, and it's been played before in like that Bruce Timm animated World's Finest crossover that they did, where it was Superman going to Gotham or whatever it is. That relationship of Clancy Brown's Lex Luthor and Mark Hamill's Joker, there's just something about those 2 when you get them into a room together, the combination of Joker and Lex, that is so much fun, and it just works. Like you said, I don't know what it is. Like, I'd have to dive into something.
It's the buddy duo. It's the straight man, silly man. It's like classic comedy.
Yes.
No jokes, all jokes.
Right.
And that's
Lex's.
I think that's really what works about it more than anything.
Yeah.
And because they still have the same end goal, like it works just enough every time.
Yes. Oh man. I got to tell you also, we need to have either a drinking game or some type of a tally for Mighty Crabjoy's references. Since James Gunn's Superman movie, we've gotten quite a few Crabjoys thrown in there. And Superman 32 has one with Lois that I'm going to try to spotlight here real quick. But anytime I see it now, I hear the Frank Bell in my head, and I say, there it is, the Crabjoy. It's just a little tiny one. I'm going to put it in here real quick.
Tiny Bell.
As she's on the table. And I just... Every time I see a Crabjoy's thing, I'm like, oh man, James Gunn has been influential on the DC universe in so many ways. Coming off of the Superwoman stuff and all the Joshua Williams, man, I think his actual Joshua Williamson's run on Superman is going to be looked back on fondly. I think there's the places that he's taken the character, the directions and the story arcs that he's had, I think have shaped the Man of Steel in many different ways and all positive. But when you think about the sum of all of these things and you start to add on like, oh, this, the super core and superwoman and all of these different elements, the doomsday time trapper, all of these things that Williamson has been playing with in his run has really, for me, it's shaped what Superman is right now in 2025 and like the modern context of where is Superman? Like, what does he mean? What do super books, coming out now in the modern context? I'm thinking of Joshua Williamson. Like, that's the Superman that I'm picturing. And I think he's just left this indelible footprint and mark on Superman. So, got to give Josh Williamson a ton of flowers. And the breaking the fourth wall stuff with Superboy Prime has been so much fun. I talked about it, again, broken record, many times about how much I love when people look at the camera, they talk to the audience, and Superboy Prime calling people jerks and just saying, wait a minute, there's a fight, like there's a crossover going on and I'm not a part of it, or like what he's referencing DCKO. I'm just like, man, there's so much fun to be had here. A death tournament? I love those. Like,
how about when he's like, there's an event happening. That means all the rules are different right now.
Yes. Which is like Josh Williamson speaking to us and giving us, we're in on the joke. We all get it as comic fans and as readers. And there's so much fun in all of that. And then also bringing back the Superman robot army at the end. That to me, and I actually put out a little short on it on my YouTube channel and TikTok. And it was just so much fun seeing the tangent blue in the background, and there's the black suit and like all the different Supermans from over the years, the robots. Just our love of Superman, I think, our nostalgia for all these different costumes came out, and I just loved it. So, man, Superman 32 was so much fun, and I think specifically because of Superboy Prime, that was my big takeaway on that. Did Frank, did you have any thoughts on Superman 32?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Superman Prime stuff, catches my attention too. I thought it was the Lois stuff. Lois is Superwoman. The Superman Lex war and Lois as Superwoman. Great character work in this issue, and it was you know how I feel about event tie-ins. And when there is event tie-in sprawl, but this was a good, worthwhile, worthy way to tie into what was happening in KO this month. Yeah, I'm excited. The Superwoman being back in play has me excited. It has since that started last month or the month before. So yeah, I'm really digging where they're going with Lois.
And I'm not also a big fan of tie-ins to crossovers. I've had event fatigue over the years. But I've actually been reading every DC KO tie-in that's been coming out. And man, the Flash, I got to tell you, the Flash one has been my favorite. And I'm actually going to start reading that book now because I wasn't before. And the stuff that they're doing with
it, that's how they get you.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
Well, they already got my money with the DC Infinite subscription. So I might as well put it to good use. But I got to say, if anyone's interested, they're doing stuff with Wally West and Bart Allen that is fantastic in that book. The big thing that I wanted to talk about, so Tangent, how much of DCKO did you read? Did you read the first part?
I read the first issue. I just haven't read the second one, but feel free to talk about it to your heart's content. And if I hear anything that's like vaguely spoilery, I'm just going to turn and look at that splash page that Ari Barrows did on Superman 32 with Superman and Superboy Prime. It's just really beautiful. And I'm just going to stare off into space and look at that.
You're not going to believe this. That is my wallpaper. Literally, that is my wallpaper right now on my desktop.
Nice. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's just a fantastic moment. There's something that I really wanted to talk about. And the reason that this is my pick for the month, like I said, not only did I just love DCKO, but it was the opening moment with the Trinity. Frank, you read DCKO, right?
Yes.
What would you be if you weren't a superhero? What would your job be? And each of the Trinity is picking. That would be fantastic. Each of the Trinity is picking who would Superman be, who would Batman be, who would Clark, Bruce, and Diana be. And each of them has their picks. So this is the only part that I really want to talk about from the KO. The rest of the issues is all of a fight. But this, to me, had me rereading it and going back and saying, what is Scott Snyder saying right here? And what they pick for Superman, the job that they say is president. Batman or Bruce Wayne says, who would be Clark if you couldn't be Superman, you'd be president. And Clark's first reaction is, oh, come on, you can't be serious. And Bruce is like, no, I'm serious. If you couldn't be Superman, a reporter, you would be president. And I thought about, what does that mean? And my interpretation, I'd really love to hear Frank's. And I know, Tangi, you just now are hearing this. But
I'm reading the first page as we speak.
Okay.
So I'm like catching up to what you're saying.
I want to get
Sure.
your thoughts on this because we each have our own Superman, like what we think about Superman and like who he is, what he stands for. And I thought about the president aspect of it. And to me, what I'm thinking that Scott Snyder is trying to say here is Superman is somebody who wants to do the best thing for the most amount of people, like the greatest number of people. And whether that means sacrificing whatever the specific decisions and intentions that the president is making, it's supposed to be for the good of America and of the world because of where America stands. And that, to me, as I pondered it and thought about it more and more, I said, that is Superman. That is something that I would put Clark in that position. He's not necessarily somebody that I'm thinking of as a great politician, but in his core being, he wants to save the most amount of people possible. And so I was like, man, that's a really good job title and description that Scott Snyder put in this. And I love how he did this in the first issue as well. He's setting it up with the Trinity playing this board game, and then you go into the fight, but there's still ramifications of what's happening in that board game throughout the rest of the issue and the rest of the fight. So I think it seems like this is going to be the structure for the whole series, this whole event that we're going to get. Clark Kent as president, just that, something about that hit me that I didn't think about that before. And I loved that. Just that page made this my pick of the month. Again, Superman ties in to DCKO. So that was the reason specifically for why I picked DCKO number 2. Frank, I'm dying to hear your thoughts on Clark Kent as president.
I really so I agree. I think Snyder is leaning into this idea of Clark as like a moral problem solver.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the highest good someone could do. The most power you could get and then use to do good is arguably to become president of the United States and then work within and around institutions and systems to benefit the most people. It's actually very much the sort of champion of the oppressed idea of Superman from the 30s.
Yes.
Aiming for positions where he can influence systems, be it journalism or organizing or, in Bruce's mind, the presidency. I like that idea of Superman as a problem solver rather than just a strongman. And I think his hesitancy with that, Clark's hesitancy with that, like the Clark is not built to be president, is the one who hesitates during that battle. And you contrast that with then what happens at the end of the issue, the big reveal near the end of the issue, and you see what he does when he says, "Okay, fine, I will take power in the form of presidency or another kind of power."
Yes.
But wield it to do the most good.
Yes.
I also think about the contrast between what Bruce says, you'd be president, and Lex, I think it's Lex, during the tournament saying, "I'm mad at you because you do too little."
Yes. That is Lex. Yes.
So Bruce is saying, "I believe in you, I think you'd be president," and Lex is saying, "You're a coward." And there's those two, the contrasting characterizations of how he comes across. And it's when Lex calls him a coward that becomes like Superman's flaw almost, that the tournament is designed to exploit.
Yes. And I really like when I hear Scott Snyder talk about his take on Batman is the one I've heard the most out of any character. He had the New 52 run. He's doing great on Absolute Batman right now, and then he had the Dick Grayson Batman era with the Black Mirror. He always has something interesting to say about who Bruce is, and even Gotham as a character. All of the things that he kind of funnels through that character are always interesting to me. This is the first time I've really seen him talk about Superman and talk about Clark, and I just find this really interesting. And I really don't, they have a co-credit with Snyder and Williamson, so I don't know how much is each writer's like input, but they may have come together and said, okay, yeah, this is how we're going to do it. But I just find that fascinating to think about. You would do it, you would be the leader because it's the most good and because you can do this thing. And I've seen people online be kind of split about it. And I think there's that Lex Luthor side of it. And maybe that was Snyder or Williamson putting that into the book as well. Of one side of people saying, oh, he would be the best because he's got perfect ethics. He's got ultimate compassion. But then there's that other side that might say his morality is so rigid that he'd refuse to compromise, and that would make him unable to lead in a messy universe. Because in a perfect universe, Superman, always makes the right decision and everything is perfect right down the middle. Then you try to put that into something that is more like reality in our universe of not everything fits into that perfect box, but we're so messy that how would Superman do in that situation? Tangent. What do you think?
So I don't think Superman always makes the right decision. I think that's actually a flaw in like the way that people think about Superman in this context right here. And I'm actually using KO number 2 to illustrate my point here, where Lex is going after the power rings on page 10. And it says, but Clark is watching, and this one thing Clark is determined to do is to make sure Lex Luthor does not win. So he's supposed to be going after these other things. And in his mind, he's like, nope, instead, I actually have to stop Lex. That's the biggest thing. But that's actually incorrect, because like his ultimate plan is to stop Darkseid, not to stop Lex Luthor. He's blinded by the very thing that's in front of him instead of the bigger picture. And I actually and so I don't like to say that like he always makes the right decision. I think he tries to always make the right decision, but just like anybody else, he stumbles and he makes the wrong one and blah blah blah. Monologue at the end of Superman 2025.
Yes.
For
And
more
it's that-
details. But
yeah.
that would make him a good leader, right? Trying to do the right thing, even if it doesn't pan out. At least he tried, which is what you hope for in your leaders. And I am of the camp, I don't think that he would be president. I actually believe Clark when he says that. Like he would be, he'd be a good one, but I don't think that's actually what he would do, because Superman isn't. He influences by leading by example and actually supporting other people. Like our favorite examples of Superman's heroism is him extending the hand out and offering redemption, or safety, or security, or any of things. So truthfully, I think Clark would be a teacher or a school counselor. Like, because if Clark did that, couldn't be Superman, wasn't a reporter, he's got a 40-year career ahead of him, average 100 students a year, right? How many, the goodness of Clark Kent, the goodness of Superman, the ethics, the morality, how many people has he influenced then to go out and then change the world? I think that he'd actually have more luck doing that than working with jaded, stymied systems where he just gets fed up and then the thing doesn't actually get done because he's working within the boundaries of red tape and everything, which we know that he actually doesn't work well in because he is a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I wonder if what he's, man, I'd love to hear like an interview with Scott Snyder on this. I haven't seen anything on this. And like I said, I listened to his podcast, but I wonder if what you're saying, Tangent, that's the career he would choose. Is Snyder saying, but he would be forced into being president? Like he wouldn't choose it, but whatever the circumstances would be, they would lead him into, I know I want to do this. I want to be a teacher, but politics is where I'm being forced to go. I wonder what he's like. I just wonder what the specifics
is possible. I think the point of their exercise was that, like, you know, like you, my friend, know me well enough to say, like, what would I do?
Yeah.
in this case. You know, like because they tell Bruce, you know, like you'd be a doctor. He's like a bat doctor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you'd be a tour guide. You'd love history and connecting with people and like all this stuff. But I don't know if it's like you'd be president because somebody would force you. Like the idea is like he's not Superman. He's not a reporter. He's just Clark. What would just Clark do? And he can't be a farmer and he can't be a reporter. And I think that just Clark, not Superman. Like you can't force anybody to be president. You know, well you can, but but you know, I just don't know if I think Clark knows himself well enough to know how and why and where he would do the most good. So if he says no, that's not actually it. I think that's an answer that will be explored later.
Yeah.
I don't think
the
this is
rest
a
of the series is going to
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, man, that it just makes me because the other thing I'm wondering is who is going to be the winner of the tournament and what are they saying by that? Like there's going to be a story reason and a plot point of why the person who wins is the winner, you know, and how do they eventually take down Darkseid. But I think these themes and these elements are going to come back, like you said, throughout it. And it's also an interesting point of the choice of who they would pick for their friend. And actually, I was even contemplating doing this with us, but then I said, no, because I have no idea. I would be terrible at picking professions. And I think both of you have chosen great professions already. But I like the aspect of thinking about what Clark would pick and then how would he be impactful in that world. Like you said, Tim, reaching the most amount of people through either a grassroots or groundswell of, hey, I'm educating the population, or I'm educating the people and giving them the tools that they need to be better people and be, you know, that in turn leads to the best outcome possible. Or going into this politician route, does leadership through that? And I wonder what also they're saying about the current state of our presidency and what the current politicians are. But it's just that, like I said, that single page to me, as much as the action of this issue is fantastic. And man, each issue, the art continues to grow on me more and more. I just love all of the stuff that they're doing, as well as how each one of the objects that they went after in this issue, like, don't want to spoil too much for you, but the setup and the premise of the action has been
the action of it now.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said,
That
I really
part-
have been reading. I'm on page 12 now.
Okay.
Nice.
That part has been fun, but it's what are these each what are the action, what is he saying with the action? Because it's kind of like a movie, like a good action movie. Like you have the elements of, you know, that was a good fight scene, but we need to tie it together with a good plot. And what are the character motivations here? Why are they doing these things? And I was kind of iffy on the premise of KO when it was first announced. It just seemed like it was going to be like a flimsy, oh, it's just a fight. Like, it's almost like playing a fighting game.
Yes.
Versus playing a story-driven game. For me, I'm always going to the story-driven games, but the fighting games that have a good story to me are really the most compelling ones because I care about the characters. And it's not just me button mashing and saying, okay, I'm just going to keep punching until I win. I care about what Spider-Man is going through. You know, whatever it is, whoever the characters are, that to me is what has been great about KO, is what are the overall elements that are the reason why these people are fighting. And it's also, man, another thing real quick, I don't want to go too long, but it's also super interesting, the choices of who is in the tournament. And Lex specifically being not the Lex that we've known from the Joshua Williamson run. It's this Lex from the time displaced Lex from the earlier Legion of Doom era.
Wait, are you sure? Wait, it is? I thought that whole thing in Superman 32 with him like shaving the beard and stuff, that so like because he like shaved his beard off, there was like a whole panels about it. So I thought it was regular Lex.
Go back. Because but then that's confusing to me because the regular Lex, remember, he had that arc that he went through where he became more of Superman's ally than his enemy. And then this one is going right back to classic antagonist Lex.
Right.
This one, I think this is not World's Finest. What was the one where the Gorilla Grodd came, like they pulled all of those characters they time displaced them and pulled them forward to the future. Now I'm blanking on it. Not World's Finest. Or was it World's Finest? It was the Mark Waid book. Anyways, whatever the one
Yeah,
was.
It was a Mark Waid book.
It was World's Finest.
Yeah, I think that's this group.
No, Justice League. It was Justice League and World's Finest.
Oh, yeah. Justice League
crossover.
Unlimited.
That's why
Unlimited.
Yes.
Unlimited.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Lex that this is. That's my... When you were reading it, Frank, which Lex were you reading it as?
Yeah. I was all kinds of confused anyway. I just sort of every new book, I'm like, this is just a new.
Yeah,
I don't even try with continuity anymore.
Yeah, with us doing all of these books, that's been my approach. Is like I'm just like, oh yeah, each one is their own separate thing.
If anything, I'm surprised when I'm like, ooh, there's continuity from a different book that's currently being published.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
look at
mentioned Superman Unlimited in this one with like Kryptonite being everyone. I was like, oh, right, yeah,
Right.
they would obviously, yes,
Yeah,
of course,
right.
the continuity.
But not
Yeah.
Kryptonite Spectrum because that's Black Label, and that's
Yes, right.
Right.
Yeah, man, I am loving what is going on right now in DCKO. We're gonna get to the bottom of this tangent. I'm gonna do some more independent research, but I thought this was the time
because
to
he was
place.
shaving.
I want to hear in the comments. I want to hear in the
Yes.
comments what people think.
Who is this Lex Luthor? Tell us who you think this Lex Luthor is. Is he the one that we've been following from the Joshua Williamson run? Or is he the time displaced Legion? Just call him the Legion of Doom Lex. I don't know what time period you would say he's from. But either way, it's just interesting to see
Wait. At the end of that crossover, what happened to Lex? Where did he go?
That is a
Time
great
displaced
question,
Lex.
and I could not tell you.
Because
I
this
have-
DCKO Lex was in the Phantom Zone and is now out of the Phantom Zone.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
That's
so
right.
if the time displaced Lex was in the Phantom Zone,
You know what? I think that's what it is.
I think that might be yes.
I think that is what it is. Yes.
okay, I will believe you
Because
both.
Superman 32 shows you how he got out of the
Phantom Zone. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what it was.
Yeah. That's adding up. Yep.
Okay. Yes. All right, we solved it. But still, way off in the comments. Let us know. Weigh in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking about these picks that we've got for you this month. Or if you had a pick, because Absolute Superman, Adventures of Superman, Book of L, there's still some great stuff coming out each and every month. And you mentioned Superman Unlimited. They got a new artist this month, which that to me, real quick, I have not been loving Raphael Albuquerque's art. And so getting a new artist in on Superman Unlimited really uplifted that.
Did that raise it for you?
I'm nope. Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry, it's me. At the end.
It's
the end
me.
Of Justice League World this crossover. Lex is returned to his proper place in the past by reality repairing forces activated when the timeline is stabilized. When he goes back, he retains a subconscious impression of what he experienced, but his memories are mostly occluded, preventing paradox level foreknowledge. His return closes the loop. He continues his life in the ambitious way. These Lex, all the things, they were put in the Phantom Zone at the beginning of KO1, so they wouldn't be involved in the tournament. And Lex was like,
Oh, that's right.
no, I'm gonna be
Yes.
in this tournament. So by putting Lex in the Phantom Zone, even for the briefest of times,
That's right.
that was enough for him to be like, no, excuse you, I'm back. Shaves beard, showcasing symbolically he's back to being the original.
Okay.
I was right. Get out here.
Right,
Hey,
right.
ring the bell.
But why
Ding.
did he, what was at the end of the Williamson, the Super Core arc, why did he go back to being evil Lex again? Because remember, he was
I
working
don't
with
think he
Superman.
did at the end of that. I don't think he did. The arc putting him in the Phantom Zone is what did it. Putting him in there and going,
Okay.
You know, you're right, because at the
Gotcha,
beginning of the
okay.
issue, he's talking about, you took that choice away from me. You so
Yeah.
that's what you're right, Tim. You're right.
Okay. That is,
again,
I
thus
think that's
concluding that
good
Superman
because, like
does
you
not
said,
always make the right decisions.
well, I also think, and I wanted to mention this when you were saying that about making the right decisions. Him, 100% is acting with his heart instead of his head, and so yeah, that makes sense. Not always making what should be the right decision logically, but morally, ethically, he makes the right decision from the heart instead of from the head.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that 100% tracks for Superman, and it's why we love him as a character, and it's why I think we aspire to be more like the Superman. So fantastic work, Tim Tangent. Put him on the case, and he's going to solve it for you. That's why he's
I'm the Batman
the
of the group.
world's greatest
Nailed
podcaster.
Yep.
and the world's greatest detective. Yes, we love Tim Tangent here. And speaking of Tim Tangent, you can catch him and Superfrank on the Beer with Geeks podcast. Any fantastic stuff that's coming up on Beer with Geeks?
We have an episode dropping this week all about Andor through the eyes of somebody who's not really a Star Wars fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So check that out to see what
Excellent.
it is that someone who has a passing love of Star Wars, passing appreciation for Star Wars, but not a fan, loved Andor so much that now they want to go back and rewatch all the films.
Perfect. I love it. Also, I love everything Frank is doing on his TikTok. Talking. If you are a Beatles fan, like I said, you owe it to yourself to check out Frank's TikTok account. And there's going to be some learning coming up in the future. Frank, did you want to tease in?
Yeah, sure. I've been doing a lot of Beatles stuff on TikTok for a while now, Frank Ramblings. But yeah, if you like the Beatles, I'm putting together a course on their most transitional phase in the middle period of the Beatles stuff, where they go from being sort of the lovable mop tops to being more of the serious studio musicians. And that's, you can find the details of that at pepperlandacademy.com. Also, hey, if you like Philip Kennedy Johnson and his work on the Book of El, this week we just dropped an interview that we did with him over the summer when we were in Cleveland for the festivities around the release of Superman 25. So that's over at superhouseofel.com. You can check out the interview we did with him, and we talk a little bit about the Book of El and what you can expect from that series with the man who wrote it. So check this stuff out.
I love everything Frank does, and I can speak to all of your work on all of your podcasts, Frank. Everything you're doing is fantastic. So everyone should check out everything that you're doing. And in an alternate dimension, in an alternate reality, check out Tim Tangent's Batman TikTok. It is fantastic. He's doing some excellent work over there in that dimension.
The fifth dimension.
In that reality, he's having a great time. I would like to thank everyone for listening. We appreciate you. And if you didn't read anything, hopefully we gave you a reason to pick up the issues that we spoke about. Frank and Tim are the fantastic Beer with Geeks. I am Vactor. Remember, stay hopeful, stay curious, and stay super. Bye.